Okay.
Hi, I'm Lashonda.
And I'm Angela.
And this is a Black woman
and a white woman walk into a
bar.
I don't know why that makes me laugh, Lashonda, but it does.
Because it's always funny. It's never not funny.
So this is our
cocktail.
Huh?
Should we start off with our cocktail today?
Yeah. So let's tell folks what we're about, right? So this is our premiere, our first episode.
Yeah.
Of our video, which is on Facebook. On Facebook, on YouTube, as you will have figured out if you're watching us. And so yeah, we're gonna start every episode with a cocktail because that's what we do. Yeah. And then we're just gonna chat.
Yeah, because you want to hear people talk about stuff, especially people like us, because we're reasonable and smart.
And interesting and funny. And very humble and modest. We're both very, that's what I would say when I think about you. I would say Lashonda is humble and modest.
Hey, if you got it, you better flaunt it, honey.
Exactly.
That's what I would say.
And since we can't meet up at a bar, partly because of obvious reasons, because we have a pandemic, but also because I'm in Brooklyn.
And I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah. Because, Lashonda deserted me to move to Atlanta. Because she doesn't love me.
Actual and factual.
She doesn't love me. So we have to find other ways to share our love of each other and conversation and adult beverages.
That part.
So we're going to start each episode with a cocktail, and Lashonda's in charge of cocktails for this week. So what are you making us?
I'm going to I want to call this something like really bad, like some of the worst Thanksgiving desserts ever that end in the term surprise. Oh, it's walnut and marshmallow surprise. Yeah, that kind of thing. But I'm not going to do that because this is too tasty. So I think I'm going to just make up something for this, and let's call it a tequila pomegranate rise. No, that's terrible, isn't it? No, this is just one way to have mezcal.
Okay, I was just going to ask. I was just going to ask for clarification if it was tequila or mezcal.
It's mezcal. Okay. I'm actually working with Bonnes Mezcal, which is a lovely brand of mezcal that is one of my favorites. A lot of people prefer Vita and other brands, whatever you like is what you like, and go get that. But what I'm going to start off with, we're going to call it a mezcal cocktail, honey. Don't worry about the rest. It's delicious.
Now, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So would it be good with tequila? Because since you know that I don't like, I'm not a big mezcal fan. Would it work?
This would be amazing with anything. And that's part of the beauty in certain types of ingredients. This would actually be really good with just about anything. I've actually made this exact cocktail with vodka, and it was delicious. So, but not as delicious because of the smokiness of the mezcal. That's why I love it with mezcal. So I'm going to start with a shaker already filled with ice. I'm going to add a 1-shot pour. If you have a shot measurer or a shot glass or something like that you like to use to measure, I prefer to eyeball it because I did this job for so many years that I just don't bother with those things. And I've also got some elderflower syrup that I purchased locally in Atlanta. And I'm going to add a half, actually, this is about 1/3 of a pour for that one.
Where can people find elderflower syrup?
Elderflower syrup can easily be found in places like IKEA. You can purchase it online through Amazon. You can also you can also buy elderflower liqueur and use it in its place. Something like there's a brand called Saint Elder. There's also Saint Germain, which is probably the most famous of all of the liqueurs. And in that case, you want to add even less because it's more alcohol.
I would add more
on how strong your cocktail, just depending on how strong you like your cocktails. What'd you say, Ange?
I would say I would add more then.
We knew that was coming, didn't we? So I'm also going to add, you can buy this as well, pomegranate juice. You will find out very shortly that I'm a huge fan of pomegranates. And so earlier in the season, I got a lot of tart ones. And so what I do with the tart ones is I put them in the blender and then I run them through a sieve to remove some of the seeding debris. And you get something that looks sort of like this. I'm just going to put as much, I would say the equivalent of 2 wedges of lime into the cocktail. Because it's tart, it sort of acts like a lime. All right, and we're gonna shake it.
Oh, so Mila sent me a link for, this is a friend of ours, sent me a link for a recipe to make donuts in 10 minutes.
Okay, and that is what that looks like.
It looks pretty.
Now, what's going to make this even better is at the end, I'm going to add a tiny amount of seltzer water just to give that some fizz on top.
She's having a fancy cocktail. Meanwhile, I'm having a cider, a hard cider. Because I don't have her here to make a cocktail for me.
Because again, I abandoned Angela for.
Yeah, she deserted me. Because, you know, her career and a nice place to live was more important than being around me, apparently.
That's a whole weird thing to make a choice around, but I get it. And what I do is I like to garnish with a couple of fresh pomegranate seeds because I have many.
And she loves pomegranates.
And that's what we get at the end.
It looks
I'm
beautiful.
going to turn this around. There's my thumb. I love how professional this is.
Do I have to do this now? Oh, okay. Oh, nice. That looks pretty.
Yeah.
Okay, taste it. And I'll live vicariously through the camera.
That's really good.
So how much pomegranate juice did you put in there?
I put the equivalent of what you could get out of 2 lime wedges. Okay. And it gives it a ton of color.
So how do you make the pomegranate juice from the pomegranate seeds?
You take well, first you got to remove the seeds from the pomegranate like this.
And I have a feeling we're going to have a demonstration on that soon. Because I'm psychic.
You know me. Hold on. Let's set her up right here. Oh.
See, when Lashonda lived in Brooklyn, which is where I live, she used to hang out in my kitchen all the time. And I used to make fun of her because whenever she would cook something, she can't cook without pretending she's on a cooking show. So I'd be sitting
factual.
I'd be sitting at my desk and I'd be working on something, typing, because I'm a writer. I'd be writing something and she'd be cooking, and then all of a sudden I would notice that somebody was talking. It would be Lashonda describing what she's doing in each sub. So I kept telling her she's got to have her own cooking show someday.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. So
let's peel this pomegranate first, child. And then we have some things to get into because a whole bunch of madness is happening in this country this week. And it's literally anxiety, like provoking. Like every time I read the news, I'm like,
I know. And
I'm developing a twitch.
I have to, I don't know if I think we talked about this. I don't remember, but I I think it was Thursday night after the election. And it was still very much up in the air, but we had the states that were, you know, the formerly red states that looked like they were going to flip to blue. And I just kept telling myself, for some reason, I was like, I can't go to bed. I just can't go to sleep until I see one of those states flip. Even if it's not like, I don't need to know the final vote.
Right.
So I'm watching TV and watching TV. And then finally it did. And it was Georgia. Georgia flipped first. And I'm like, okay, I can go to bed now. So I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. I have to tell you, I felt as if there's this weight had been lifted from my shoulders, even though nothing was absolutely firm yet. But I was like, oh my God, it's like, you know, when you're holding your breath, but you don't realize that you're holding your breath until you start breathing and you go, wow, I was holding my breath. That's how I felt. It was like, oh my God, this tension from the election, and then obviously from COVID, and just, yeah, it's crazy. I'm going to stop talking so you can do your pomegranate.
No, I mean, it literally, the streets burst into honking because this is one of the things that we can do as we social distance. And then there was a big party in John Lewis Freedom Park, and it was originally planned as like a get out the vote rally, a count all the votes rally, but it became a party, a fantastic party that I missed because I couldn't find parking. But that's okay, because just being around all of those people, even if we're masked and outdoors, just made me a little bit uncomfortable because COVID.
Right.
So before we get into it, we're going to get into this. This is how we start: a knife and a pomegranate, a nice big bowl of warm water, which you can see I have here.
Why warm water?
Because it's more comfortable to my fingers. If you're someone who has really hot hands or something and you would prefer cold water, you can use that. Use whatever temperature water that you'd like. And then you want to make a very thin cut. So that is how far the knife has gone in, okay? All the way around the circumference of the pomegranate. Just a very thin cut until you eventually, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect and meet back at the original location that you started the cut. And then you want to stick your thumbs in there, anywhere you can get them in, and pull it apart. This way you don't sacrifice any of the seeds. And that is what you get. That's the gorgeousness.
Yeah, see, I never knew that. I would always just start peeling them. I didn't know that you could pull it apart.
Yeah, you can just pull them apart. You just stick your thumbs in there and just pull them apart. And then from there, you will do everything that you need to do by just pulling this pomegranate apart under the water. Because occasionally when you're pulling the seeds out, depending on your touch, you know, and how gentle you are with things, seeds will pop. And so if you do that underwater, juice doesn't fly everywhere. You don't make a mess of your kitchen. And I find that this is a very like Zen activity for me. Like I really enjoy just sitting here and plucking the arrows out of their little homes. And the nice part about doing this too is that all of the pith from the pomegranate, all of the white parts, all of these pieces float, and then the seeds sink to the bottom. I'll show you once we're done. Anyway, how are you doing, Angela? I said, how are you doing? Like, how are you getting through this all?
Well, that varies from day to day and month to month. I thought about writing a story about the stages of coronavirus quarantining grief. It's like the first month was I drank too much. Like I'm like, I haven't drunk this much since college. And then I got bored with that, thank God, because my liver and my pocketbook couldn't handle it. And then month 2 was all about, like, I didn't want to see anything serious. I subscribed to the Disney Plus channel, and I basically watched nothing but Disney. I watched Mary Poppins. Like, it had to be like I couldn't take anything that had like any kind of anxiety. you know? So like basically all I could handle was like Mary Poppins, Sound of Music. Even Sound of Music was a little stressful, like when they're hiding from the Nazis, you know? So even though I've seen it a gazillion
Were you like, this is us?
I know. And the Parent Trap, the original Parent Trap with Haley Mills, I watched that. But yeah, that's like all I could handle. So yeah, and then and then I don't know, it's really hard, and I get kind of, I don't want to be too buzzwordy, so but you know, but the self-care is I know it's important, but it's just that stuff's hard for me. It's hard for me to come up with things, and it's just, but I don't know. I think honestly, if I had to say one thing that has saved my sanity, it's been my friends.
Mm.
You know, just being able to talk to people and the Zoom thing and lots. Can you imagine if this would have happened before we had cell phones with unlimited data plan?
Oh my God, no way.
I mean, I remember when I was in college and we would dread getting the phone bill because it'd be like $300, $400 phone bill. You know, it was like crazy. You could, yeah. So thank God we can make phone calls for free now.
I literally upgraded my phone during coronavirus because I was like, nope, I need FaceTime. Nope, yeah. I'm not doing Android anymore. I like quit Android, got an iPhone, and was like, I'm FaceTiming everybody all the time.
I know, because it's, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't.
Because Zoom just feels so formal. Like it's sometimes when you really just want to be informal, like when you want to like FaceTime your friend at 10 p.m. just after you brush your teeth and before you like pretend like you're going to try to go to bed. In fact, you're going to go to bed at 1:30 like you have every other night since March 10th. Right. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if everybody else is pretending, but I literally, work has been so fantastic in terms of where I work and how kind they are and how understanding they are. Like their work is amazing. I cannot complain about work.
Well, you were able to because you were already working from home a certain number of days a week.
Yes, we were working from home 3 days a week and in office 2 days a week. One of those was a non-negotiable Friday, everybody in and everyone see each other and, you know, bond as a team and then, you know, see you next Friday.
Right.
And then depending on the days that you choose to be in the office, you would see other people, you know,
better
whatever.
Than see you next Thursday or Tuesday.
Huh?
Better than see you next Tuesday.
Well, I mean, I chose the days that I chose to go in were definitely not Tuesday. I was like, I want to feel like I have a 2-day in office week. So I chose Thursday and Friday, and then I'm home until the following Thursday. And I'm very, very blessed to have a home that is where I control the temperature. I control 90% of the environment, except the key part of my environment, which is cat. Cannot control cat.
Gustavo.
Cannot control him. He is, he has appeared in meetings. He has appeared at company happy hours. He's appeared when I've been on the telephone. And people usually are like, oh, you have a kitty.
He wants to be in on the action. That's the joy of cats.
The joy of cats. Cats make themselves known.
I had a friend of mine the other day said, how many cats do you have now? And I said, I don't have any. And he just looked at me. He's like, you don't what? I said, yeah, I said I had to put the last one down like a year. I don't even remember how long ago that was with Bruno. But he was like, he kind of stared at me for a second. I'm like, what's wrong? He said, it's just really hard for me to imagine you without cats. You know, because we had Kitty, we had Spike, we had Astro, we had Bruno, and then we had Astro. Yeah.
Astro, the one-eyed cat who started out as a girl.
Astro, the one-eyed wonder cat. Yeah, my transgender. He's transgender.
He's not transgendered. He's misgendered by his mama.
He was transgender.
You were like, he's a girl.
Well, that's because that's what Marie told me, that he was a girl. So let me tell you.
No, you actually, I said, I think your girl cat has balls. And you were like, no, those go away. I died. I was like, no. I think it was Mark who was like, yeah, this is a boy cat. And you're like, I thought it was a girl.
No, that like, you're thinking of Voila.
Of Voila, yes.
Yeah. So Lashonda and I met, just for a little background, Lashonda and I met at a coffee shop up the street from my apartment called Vox Pop. And
don't tell these people where you live, girl. Be careful.
Okay. Pop Vox. So this stray cat showed up, and our friend who was in charge, ran the coffee shop, she thought it was a girl cat. She named her Viola, and then she took her to another friend of ours who's a vet, and he said, no, it's a boy. And Debbie said, but he has nipples. And Mark said, so do I. So they changed from Viola to Voila. So
that is why. That is the reason. Voila was like so cross-eyed and so like,
it was a nihilist cat.
Just did not. Was just like, I do what I want when I want to do it. Yeah. All the time.
Yeah, one of the baristas there called him a nihilist cat.
Of course.
Yeah,
they're not wrong though. They're not wrong.
We should have set the timer so we know like approximately how long does it take you to seed one pomegranate.
Oh, I'm doing this on a really, really mellow, chill, you know, you could do this. I could do this faster or not. But it's really not an activity that should be rushed. Because
it's kind of meditative. It's kind of meditative for you, right?
Yeah. Mm. And you'll see I'm literally a little further than halfway done. And I'll show you what this looks like as you're doing this.
So I will tell you, I'll tell people the story of how I ended up with Astro, the one-eyed wonder cat. So I had my first cat that I brought with me from Oakland was Kitty, and she was a great cat. Lashonda knew her. She was awesome. Lashonda was with me when I had to take her in to put her down. That was so sad, but that's what friends are. So then my other cat, Bruno, was really, he loved Kitty, and he was really depressed after she left us. And so my friend Debbie from the coffee shop, she kept bugging me. She's like, you got to get another cat. You have to get a pet for Bruno. I'm like, I just don't think I could do it right now. It's like, you know, it was really hard for me having to say goodbye to Kitty. And and then but Debbie was like, but people were bringing in kittens all the time to the coffee shop, and she would call me and say, there's a kitten down here. I'm like, no, I can't do it. And she kept trying. I'm like, no. And then finally she calls me one day and she says, okay, I know you think you're not ready for another cat yet, but there's one, I really want you to meet this one cat. She's from Coney. We thought it was a she at that point. She's from Coney Island, and she only has one eye. I'm like, screw you, Debbie. Like, seriously? Like, I'm supposed to say no to a disabled cat? So I said, let me think about it, and I'll call you in the morning. So the next morning I called her. I sent her a text and I said, I will meet the cat. I'll meet the kitten. And I didn't hear from her all day. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm off the hook. She got somebody else found, she found a home. And then I get a text from her at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The kitten's here. So I dragged myself down the block.
Dragged.
Right. I didn't want to fall in love with this cat. I knew that I would, as soon as I saw it, I would probably fall in love with it. So her friend Marie, who
Now our friend and beloved.
Yes. And yeah, became an Astros. I consider Astros godmother. She was really nervous because she didn't know me, and the kitten was like part of a litter, and that was from a feral, semi-feral cat that lived on her property, but she fed her, and but she was still pretty feral. So, but she had a kinship with the kittens. In other words, she wanted to make sure it went to a good home.
Yeah.
So she's kind of checking me out, like I don't know you, and Debbie says you're okay. That's what I thought was going through her head. She seemed a little like wary of me, or leery or whatever. And so she said, and she kept saying, I know you have another cat. If you were to take the kitten, and it didn't work out with the other cat, I hope just bring her back. I'll take. And then she said, do you want to pick her up? So I picked up Astro, who didn't have a name yet, and looked in his little face, and he put his one paw on one shoulder and one paw on another shoulder, and then just put his head under my chin. And Marie said, okay, never seen that before. I'm like, I guess I got a cat. So because he thought it was a she at that point, it was from Coney Island. That's why he's named Astro. Then we found out it was really a boy.
Still named Astro because it works.
Because it works. So how's the pomegranate?
All right. So this is what's happened so far. You can see that all of the seeds have sunk to the bottom.
Nice. So you just pull that stuff off the top?
Yeah, I just rake it off and drop it into the nearest bin.
Nice.
The nearest bin, not like I'm not at home. I just put it into the bag that sits in the freezer until it's Valet Trash night.
I don't have Valet Trash night.
There is a whole phenomenon that I've been exposed to since I'm no longer a New Yorker, and it's called Valet Trash, and several buildings have it. It's this thing where on maybe 5 nights a week, you put your trash outside your door after a certain hour. Usually it's like 6 p.m. You put your recycling in a separate bag that's provided to you. You put it outside, tied up in a bin that they provide you. You wake up in the morning, it's all gone. And they leave you a new blue bag for your recycling.
My Valet Trash was my nephew, but he no longer lives with me. I have to just take it down myself, the old-fashioned way.
Listen, it is a whole thing, and I value and appreciate the folks who do Valet Trash. They will be getting a Christmas bonus from me this year if I have to stay up all night to wait for them till I hear their little buggy rolling through, because there is a rolling sound of this bin that goes through the hallways.
What time do they come through?
The correct answer is anytime between 11 and 5:30 a.m. The actual answer, the one that is honest about my actual bedtime, around 12:30, 1:30. Cheers, darling.
Cheers. So Lashonda, what do you do? What have you been doing for anxiety, to deal with anxiety and stress, and do the self-care thing since this all started?
My self-care thing started when I was looking for a job right when I moved to Atlanta and I started making my own hair gel. And so one of the things that I've been doing is making my own skincare in terms of my body skincare, like my own body moisturizer. Because the one that works for me best is really very expensive. And I was like, I think that this texture is duplicable. And also, I am tired of giving away my money like this. So I'm going to figure out a way to make my own. And so I did.
Lashonda is
So
thrifty.
that's one thing. I'm actually about to start selling this stuff. So I'm a thrifty entrepreneur.
There you go.
I'm already selling my hair oil pretty well. So there's that. So my intention right now is to make self-care not just about being an entrepreneur and creating an additional revenue stream, which is a whole conversation that you can have with like 1,000 people in Atlanta at once. Like it's a whole thing that people do constantly. Like this is hustle city. Is not like New York in the sense that you can't really get your hustles off the ground. You know what I mean? Because you're so exhausted from dealing with the city. It's not that kind of place. So, but for me, it's like, I want to provide something that smells good, that's good quality, you know, and that works for people with thick natural hair.
Can I get some hair oil from you? Not for me, obviously. White people hair. Not just white people hair. I have Scandinavian, Northern European hair.
Right, but sometimes if you ever get a dry scalp, you could always do a hot oil treatment and then wash it out. You know what I mean? Like it's useful for everyone.
But I want to get some for a guy friend.
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
I will send you my cost structure. As well as tipping guidelines.
Okay.
I'm totally messing with you, obviously. So yeah, so my self-care is making my own skincare. My self-care is caring for my fairly sick animal, because caring for him makes him happy. And right now, part of my purpose is to make his days, however limited they are, he has kidney lymphoma, as pleasant as possible. So my self-care is wrapped up in his self-care. And I also do my own thing where sometimes I just need to like take a nap after work, man. Mm-hmm. I have days where I just want to take a nap and I'm like, you know what, take a nap. Where do you have to go anyway? You know?
You know, it's weird because I know we've talked about this, but I used to be a big napper, and like I remember one point in my life I was working full time and I was in grad school full time and I was working at a counseling center. I mean, I was crazy busy, and so I'd go to work in the morning. I'd have a class after work. I'd get home about like 8:30. I would take a nap for an hour, and then I would get up and make dinner and stay up for a little bit, and then I'd go to bed. And I could still go to sleep. It was crazy that I could nap that close to bedtime, but I would just be so tired, like I just had to. But I don't know. Napping is weird for me now. It's like if I lay down for a nap and then I wake up after, like especially after if I fall asleep when it's still light out and I wake up and it's dark, it's like does something messes with me somehow. I just feel weird and kind of, I don't know. I don't wake up feeling refreshed and ready to, I just wake up feeling kind of weird and off center.
Yeah, I've definitely woken up at 10 p.m. and decided that a yogurt was fine for dinner.
Yeah.
Because I don't eat that late. Like I don't eat past like 8.
Yeah.
It just doesn't set well with me. I'm also someone who was severely overweight at one point, lost 70 plus pounds, and then you know, started making different decisions about when to eat and when not to eat and what to eat, which is why pomegranate is so fantastic as a snack, as dessert, as all of it, because it's low in calories, it's very high in antioxidants, it's great for vitamin C, and it's something that we all need at this time of the year. Also, people who need to take vitamin D supplements need to be taking those supplements. That means most of us. You know, it's just, it tastes fantastic and it's very good. Now, it doesn't taste fantastic year round. If you get a pomegranate in the middle of the summer and it's really tiny and it's from, you know, South America, then occasionally those are a little bit more tart. And while it might still have the same antioxidants, in terms of it subbing in as a dessert, unless your favorite thing is tart things, then that doesn't necessarily work. But this time of year, they're coming straight from California. They're fresh and delicious. And the seeds are these beautiful, beautiful jewel tones.
Nice. And are you going to show us how to make how to juice them? Do you just like mush them, like muddle them, or
to juice them?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I juice them, I put them in a blender
with this, just with the seed and everything.
I put only the seeds, so
But I mean,
you can see this is the finished product.
But there's a little seed thing inside the seed thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, there's a seed inside. Yes, you can't peel that.
Right. Right.
So what happens is, are we okay here?
Yeah, you're good. You're
good. So what happens with it is that the seed is not like a grape. It's more like the inside of a grape. So that if you puncture it, it's punctured. Like the juice comes out of it. So what I would do is I would put the entire pomegranate seed, which is all of the red things at the bottom of this bowl. Isn't that pretty?
It's very pretty.
All of those red seeds will go into the blender, and you run it until, you know, it runs like liquid, and then you pour that through a fine sieve over another container. And the seed, the hard parts of the seeds will be what's left over inside the sieve. You will have to sort of run a spoon over everything to make sure that you get all of the juice off of the pomegranate, and you wind up with juice. There are other methods, but I don't know of them. Like, I like to do things like that the analog way. You know, I suppose I could put them into like a Vitamix juicer or something like that, but I don't have a Vitamix. I have a really nice blender, and that it literally works. Like, if I had 5 or 6 pomegranates worth of seeds and I put them in that blender, they would be done in less than a minute.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking that what we might do is, why don't we ask our viewers to put under the comment section of this video ideas for stress relief, anxiety management, self-care.
Oh my God.
If you have any, like, give us some ideas for what you like to do, what you found helpful. Because I think one of the things I find really frustrating about this is I don't feel like anybody, I mean, Michelle Obama did address it, but she's about the only one that I've heard talking about that we're all suffering from huge amounts of stress. And I find it really frustrating, because, you know, I watch these commercials on TV and everybody's like working out in their living room with that mirror thing, or they're barbecuing in the backyard, and everybody seems really perfectly happy and having a great time. And if you can manage to work that out, more power to you. But a lot of people are not having a good time with this.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that are really, really struggling. I mean, they've got anxiety, they've got depression, they've got people who lost their jobs, people, who are behind on their rent. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And then on top of it, this unrelenting pressure to just be okay with this. And I feel like I would like to hear more of our leaders talk about the fact that we've all been suffering a huge trauma. And even when this gets better down the road, which we hope and pray it will, that we're going to be dealing with stress and depression for a long time.
We are, and we may be dealing with masks for longer than any of us thinks that we will be, because like masks are a norm in certain countries.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So if you guys have any ideas out there for things that you find helpful, because I think it's important to acknowledge that this is not an easy time for anybody.
No, it's not.
Maybe Jeff
It's not.
But
I'm grateful, though. I can tell you this. I'm grateful for living in a warmer climate right now.
Yeah.
And more specifically than anything, I'm grateful for a move from New York to Atlanta, because this city has been so wonderful for me in so many ways that I love it and I adopted it as mine. And I will literally throw virtual hands over it. I adore this city. I adore the city.
I think it's so cool that you live in John Lewis's district. That's awesome.
I love it. We all loved him. We learned about him in school. And then when I got my voter ID card, I was like, oh, okay, let's go look up who my, representatives are and stuff, just in case I need to write them a letter. I was like, holy smokes. And then that's about the time that I started meeting my neighbors. And I was like, we live in John Lewis's district. And they were like, yeah, girl, you didn't know about that? I was like, I didn't know anything. I picked a building based on subway access because, I felt like that's what I needed at the time. And whatever. As it turns out, I don't really need that.
A friend of mine was working as a poll worker on election day, and she was her post was in Ruth Bader Ginsburg's old school in Brooklyn. She was so excited when she saw that.
That's amazing. Yeah, rest in peace.
You're not going to believe this, but I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I just said rest in peace, RBG, man.
And here's RBG and John Lewis. We're toasting.
Cheers.
Cheers. And believe it or not, my friend, we're about out of time.
I believe it. It happens fast. Life comes at you quickly. And if you blink, you'll miss it. Isn't that Ferris Bueller?
Something like that. I never saw Ferris Bueller.
This is a conversation for next time.
I know. Can you believe it?
I can't.
I know.
I can't handle that.
But Ben Stein hit on me. So yeah. Smoot Hawley, the guy who was talking about the Smoot Hawley act, he hit on me. That story will be revealed to you on the next episode.
Angela got stories for days, y'all. Don't play.
Yeah. It was a tavern on the green in the elevator.
Good Lord.
And that's a teaser. You have to come back next time to see what.
Please do. Because I will be sitting up here like this.
So the next episode will be my turn to do the cocktail.
Yes, it will.
And you will all hear the story of how Ben Stein hit on me.
I can't wait.
What more do you need?
That part.
All right. Thanks for watching. And
thank you for watching.
Yeah. So I'm Angela.
And I'm Lashonda.
And Lashonda is
a Black woman.
And I'm a white woman.
Who walked into a bar.
Bye, guys.
Bye, boo.